and welcome back to the Being Grounded podcast. We're on a mission to help you redefine success, become the best version of yourself, and find peace in this fast-paced world. Hi, my name is Molly.
And hi, my name is Fleur.
In today's episode, we want to talk all things stepping outside of your comfort zone. This is something which, to be honest, I've got a whole life's worth of experience for this, and I know Fleur does as well. So we have got a lot to talk about on this episode to try and help you guys step outside your comfort zone more, just to help you achieve your goals, achieve your dreams, achieve the best life, because that is the only way you're going to be able to achieve it, is if you step outside of your comfort zone. In this video, we're actually featuring a very special guest, which you guys know we love having guests on the podcast. Today's guest is actually a very exciting one because he is a lot smaller in comparison to the rest of our guests.
No one is going to know what you're talking about on the Spotify.
A lot more squishy, a lot more like cuddly, and just like a vibe to be around. Really,
he's also my friend, my lover.
He is. Say hello to Stitch the teddy bear. He's gonna be in our video. He's our special guest. So Stitch, what do you have to say about stepping outside of your comfort zone?
I can't because Fleur won't let me.
Oh, really? Really? Why?
Because she tells me. Because she tells me that I'm not allowed.
This is so funny.
Because she tells me I'm not allowed free will.
Why is that, Stitch? Teddy bear.
That's good. Silence, the way I like it.
When it comes to stepping outside of your comfort zone, it is very important that you understand why you are doing it. Why do you want to step outside of your comfort zone? And for me, the biggest reason as to why I want to step outside my comfort zone is because I want to be able to do the things which I never thought I'd be able to do. Because I want to have the life where I'm a content creator. I want to have the life where I go to the gym. I want to have the life where all these things that I find hard just come easy to me. And I really realize this with singing in front of people. So I love singing, right? It's just like a little thing about me. I love music, I love to sing, etc, etc. But I have always been very like nervous to sing in front of people, because maybe just because I've always grown up thinking I'm bad. I don't know, just I don't really know why. It's such a funny thing for me to be so like scared of doing. But anyway, that was just always me. And it got to the point where at first I couldn't sing in front of my family, then I could, then like I just built up gradually where now I can sing in front of my family and I can also sing in front of my friends. So it's just like, but because it stepped outside of my comfort zone, just because I did it without like thinking about it, or even if I was thinking about it, I thought, you know what, let me just sing anyway because I love to do it, right? It's just a bit of me. Like, for example, Fleur loves to journal, right? She finds it good for her and helpful for her. So she would have no problem with just journaling, like on a trip or with her friends or whatever it is, because it helps her. Also, know it's not the same thing, but like for me, singing really helps me. So I just thought, why just not sing? But because I stepped outside of my comfort zone, I now find it easier. And the more you keep doing that, the more easier it will become. And I've always said, like, I've always wanted to sing in a cafe, like Christmas time, or like a little bar, and sing a bit of jazz, because I like singing jazz. So I would not be able to do that if I didn't put in the steps necessary to getting there. I maybe in the future I want to make music, and maybe in the future I want to put out songs and stuff like this, but I wouldn't be able to do that if I can't even sing in front of my friend. Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't work. Like, you can't expect yourself to have a particular lifestyle if you can't even do the small things that go with it. And I think that with stepping outside of your comfort zone, it truly does just come from building up your confidence, which links into building up your self-love, which I will get onto more in a minute. But yeah,
I agree with that, because I would say I'm exactly the same, and my version of that was playing the instrument in front of other people. And specifically because I just genuinely wasn't good, not because I didn't think I wasn't good. I wasn't good at playing the cello, only because I didn't really put in enough practice. And so whenever I was playing, it was mediocre. Not to be like mean on myself, it's just facts. And I do think that playing an instrument is one of the hardest skills to learn. And unfortunately, I've not played the cello for maybe a year or two, like properly. And I've been playing since I was 11 or 12 years, so at least 10 years now. And when I say, oh yeah, I've been playing an instrument for 10 years, a lot of people expect me to be at a level where I would be
Like a grandmaster.
not a grandmaster, but professional, like enough to
Mhm.
sound good. But because I've not been like actively practicing, I only say I've been playing because I do every now and then pick it back up again. So I can play the cello. I don't like, no matter how much time
I'd love
goes
to hear you
past,
play.
instantly know how to play it. It would
Okay.
take me like a few days to be able to like gradually get myself to a part where I'd be able to play that piece, but I can't
Mhm.
play it like the way that you hear cellists play. I
Okay.
play it to a beginner's standards, and
Mhm.
I think it's very sad because it's a skill that I love, and I do love the cello and I love instruments, but I think that I built it up to be one of those things where I had to be good at it. And
Mhm.
because of that, especially because I was being graded at school, it made me feel like I couldn't really like express myself in the way I wanted to because it was stuck down to a grade. And then obviously going to uni and then coming out of it, I definitely do have the time. Like, definitely, I do have the time to play the cello. I just think that because it's been so long, I make it up to be this big thing and I don't actually want to do it, or I don't want anyone around me to hear, not even my mum, because I know that I've gone downhill so much, and where I might have been actually good and like bearable to listen to, now I'm like basically a cat screeching because it's really difficult, you know. And then another thing that I would say I found difficult to do in front of other people was definitely vlogging, and just being a content creator in front of other people, like even my friends or even my content creator friends, like Molly, for example, like it's not easy for me to put on that, not facade, because it is still me, but in a sense, when you are making videos for online, you are kind of putting on a slight mask because you have to. You know, you're not showing up as your complete authentic self. You're not saying all the things that you would say around other people online because you can't do that. You know, there's a separate version of you that you have to step into to protect yourself, and then also to have a sense of privacy for your own life.
You
And
have
I
to get
think
camera ready almost, don't you?
exactly, like you have to get camera ready, and it's not like I'm changing for the camera. It's more I am shifting into an alter ego, into the version of me who deals with being on camera, who deals with public speaking events, who puts up a front to be able to do those things
Mhm.
confidently, even if inside I don't feel that way. And I think for a very long time, I used to think, well, I can't do this in front of other people. I can't vlog in front of other people. I can't bring out the camera in front of other people because they're going to think that I'm weird, or they're going to think, you know, they're going to judge me. And when it comes to like stepping outside of your comfort zone, it's very easy to have the question of, are people going to judge me? Are people going to think I'm weird? Are people going to like secretly say things about me or whisper about me? And I always try and remind myself that even if that was the case, like even if worst case scenario, they were judging you or they were thinking I wouldn't do that or that's weird, that's just their perception of the way that they think life should be lived. And
Mhm.
that doesn't then mean that that perception is correct because it's coming from many many experiences that they've had that you haven't had. So you can't just instantly say, oh yeah, so they're right. They're living their own life, you're living your own life. You might be having a specific thought about something that no one else would ever have. It just means that everyone has their own way of living life, and you need to just work for what fits for you.
Mhm.
So in moments like that, where for example I recently went to Edinburgh, we went to Edinburgh together, and I set a challenge for myself, which I think is a very good thing to do, like when there is something that you know you really want to do but you're scared to do it, just to set that challenge for you to be like, you know what, I'm going to do it anyways, and proving to yourself that you can do it. And the entire trip, I vlogged completely on my camera. I didn't rely on vlogging on my phone even once. There's not a single vlog clip on my phone for my video, it's all on my camera. To realize that I'd gone from a point where not even half the videos were on my camera to then literally all of them being on my camera is quite a big jump for me. I just did it, you know, like any moment I felt, oh no, I can't take out the camera and I can't film, I did it anyways, and I challenged myself and I pushed myself out of my comfort
Mhm.
zone. And yes, there were definitely people looking at me. There were definitely people staring at me. But in all honesty, I didn't think much of it because I thought, well, you know what? If there was someone else vlogging right now, I would be staring at them. But I wouldn't be thinking, oh, they're weird or they're that. I would just be thinking they're confident, you know?
I wonder
Oh,
what they do.
I
Like, I wonder
wonder,
what they're
yeah, I
filming.
wonder why they're filming, or I
Mhm.
wonder, you know, what camera they have. Like that's, you
Curiosity.
know, it's curiosity. And I think it's okay to be curious. And I think sometimes we're so full of ourselves in a way. Like, we're so like the center of our own world, which is how it should be, that we just seem to think that everyone is thinking the worst of us because we are used to thinking the worst of us.
Mhm.
Like, if you were thinking positively about yourself, you wouldn't automatically assume that everyone around you is thinking that way. Like, for example, let's say you go out on an outfit and you know you really love your outfit, or you know you like your makeup, or you feel really great that day. When other people look at you, you automatically think they
Because you're good looking or
that
whatever
yeah,
it is,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
You automatically think, oh, they're looking at me because my outfit's cool or this or that. But when you go out and you've got, like, I don't know, stickers on your face because you've got spots, or you're going out in a tracksuit, or you just don't feel great about yourself, when people stare at you, you then automatically assume that they're staring at you because you don't look good, or because you've got something on your face, or whatever it may be. If you have an allergy or a reaction, and you think everyone is staring at you for that. But that's not how it works, you know. Most cases, that person is looking at you for neither of those reasons. Either they're looking at you because you're literally in, you know, you're right there in their viewpoint, and where else can they look? They're looking at you because they're thinking, what kind of person are you? Or maybe they do like your outfit, or maybe they do think you're beautiful, or maybe you think that they're judging your tracksuit, but actually they really want to know where it's from because it looks really comfortable. Like, you never know why someone's looking at you. And I just think that if we just put aside our own perception of the world and our own perception of ourselves, we wouldn't be so scared to just be ourselves, you know?
Yeah, 100%. And I think again, like just doing all those things does come from a place of feeling more confident within yourself. And like Fleur said, it's with the mindset of if you feel good about yourself, you assume people are looking at you because of that reason, and vice versa. And again, that is something that all comes from self-love. That is something that all comes from building up confidence within yourself. You could be wearing the most ugliest outfit, but still in your head you think you look good. So automatically when you think other people are looking at you, you think it's for a good reason. But
Mm.
and it's not an easy thing to do. Like, it takes time, it takes transition. So don't kind of expect yourself to go from 0 to 100. It is something that you have to build up. And you can just do this every single day. You don't have to go hell for leather. You can just do simple, small things that encourage you to step outside of your comfort zone. So for Fleur, for example, this could be, say she was really scared to film in public, and she, like she said about using her phone, maybe she filmed like one clip with her camera and the rest of it with her phone. The next time she does it, she films more clips, and then more clips, and then more clips, and then she ends up filming a whole vlog with her camera. It's stuff like this where you just gradually build it up. But if it doesn't feel uncomfortable, it means it's too easy. If you feel uncomfortable doing it, it means you're on the right track. I bet, Fled, did you feel uncomfortable doing it?
Yes.
There you go. That literally goes to show that that is growth. That is growth. If she found that easy, then her job would have been done. Her job would have been done within that department. She would have found something else to develop on, something else to grow on, you know? And like, I really found this, me personally, with public speaking as well, where I went through school being so insecure, and I just never ever would have gone up in front of the class. I would never put my hand up. Like, I was very quiet. I didn't like any attention on me. I hated when the teacher picked me out, especially if I did not know the answer, because my face would just go red. I also had this problem as well in school in like year 7, year 8, and I don't know what the thing was, and to this day I still don't understand what was actually wrong with my face. But basically, I'd get really, really red cheeks, and I think maybe it comes down to like embarrassment or maybe some form of anxiety or something. But like, I would just go bright red. Where I'm quite light, you can just see, like, I was so red. And I remember people used to point it out, calling me a tomato and saying this, and that. And already I didn't like any of that attention. So from going through school, having those things where I didn't like people looking at me or talking about me or thinking about me or anything like that, like I said about my examples, to then go from that to public speaking is it's like a whole different ball game, you know what I mean? But again, it's one of those things where you gradually build it up. And the way for me in which this happened, and for some people this may work for you better than building it up, is I was literally thrown in the deep end. I was thrown in the deep end. So I left school feeling very shy, feeling very all these different things. I had to maybe work through a lot more of my insecurities, but I still wasn't the most like, outgoing person. But when I left school and I joined college, I did an events course, and it was a business course. So we were like, it was a teamwork course. Every single person on my course I knew, and we had to work with and talk with and have teams with. And even the year below me and the year above me, same principle, right? So that's why, like, I knew everyone on my course because we had to work with each other. And the first thing we ever did was do a presentation in front of the class from the get-go. And then, like that was scary, that was intimidating, because of course, I went from not doing it to then doing it in front of people I didn't even know their name. But the more you do it, and everybody in the class was in the same boat, everyone felt the same way of like, I don't want to do this, like I don't want this. But at the end of the course, I kid you not, we were pitching to investors of shopping centers. That is how crazy it got. We were pitching to people who had, like, were business owners and who had a lot of money. And so we went from being scared to speak in front of each other to literally all being in the same boat of not feeling that anymore and speaking to those types of people, and doing things like that. And that built up my confidence because I was thrown in the deep end, and because it was also consistent. It was so repetitive. It was so, every single day we were talking to new people. Every single day I was public speaking. Every single day I was doing something. Naturally, you just get over the fear of it because you think, oh, like this wasn't too bad. Like this is not as intimidating as what I thought it would be. And even now, if I was to go back and do a speech in front of all them, even though I don't know any of them anymore, I would be able to do it. Like I would be able to confidently do it. However, the one thing that did get me was then going and doing a public speak in IKEA. So I did a public speak at a networking event in IKEA, and I was so scared, right? Because bear in mind, that whole time, like I had gotten used to it. I thought, yeah, like, this is gonna be a walk in the park. This is gonna be so easy. Like, what am I even scared about? But on the build up to the thing, I was so anxious. Like I literally could feel my heart in my throat. And when she when she said, and the next person to come speak is Molly Clark, and oh my god, I literally couldn't see. When you get so anxious and like you
Mm.
can't see shit, like that is how it feels. Like I'm not really one to get panic attacks, which I'm very grateful for, but like it'll be the opposite where like I will just feel it in my heart. Feels like I'm about to have a heart
Mm.
attack, or like I forget to breathe, the whole world goes black, and like I nearly pass out, which is fun. But like that's how I felt, and I got up on the stage, and I remember thinking to myself as I was doing the speech, oh my god, this is so bad. What I'm saying is so bad. Like, oh, I need to just hurry up and finish. And bear in mind, I had like 5 to 10 minutes, I think it was, to do the speech. I was done within about 3 minutes because I rushed through the whole thing because I was so terrified. And when I watched the videos back, and the whole time I kept thinking to myself, like, pretend you're not scared, just pretend you're not scared, and even say you're not nervous. Because that's one thing too, is if you're doing public speaking, make a joke of it, say, oh god, you know what I mean, this is my first time, I'm feeling a bit nervous, because it's relatable, it's human, they're all human beings you're speaking to. They're not some sort of like, I mean, they're not god, they're people you're speaking to,
Mm.
other people who relate to you. And so the next time I did it, I did another public speaking at my own networking event, walk in the park, because when I watched the videos back from last time, I realized, oh, like I wasn't actually that bad. In my head I had built this huge fear and this huge thing of like I did such a bad job. I truly believed, like, it actually consumed me. And then the next time I did it, do you know what I mean? It was so easy. Bob's your uncle. But the more you keep doing it, the less scared you will feel
Mm.
about it. You'll go from not being able to speak in front of a class to be able to speak in front of a class, then to not be able to speak in front of 100 people to be able to speak in front of 100 people, and you just build it up until you're speaking in front of crowds and stadiums. You can confidently speak to people. My point of what I'm trying to say is that it is good to sometimes throw yourself in the deep end, because throwing yourself in the deep end is exposure. It's exposure therapy. Equally, if you find it better to build it up with some things, it is a lot better to do that. It's whatever makes you and encourages you to step outside your comfort zone, because if it doesn't challenge you, it will not change you. And sometimes you have to become uncomfortable to become comfortable. You have to put yourself out there for you to then find that thing easy.
It's the same experience with me, actually. I had a massive fear of public speaking to the point of I would literally refuse to do it in
Mm-hmm.
class. So whenever we would have like an assignment to do, so for example, in English, we had to write a speech. This is like a thing that everyone in the country has to do. Like you would have had to do this as well
Mm-hmm.
in English. So I wrote my speech on Madeleine McCann, and it was were the parents involved, were the parents not involved, like me trying to fight for both cases of the parents did know about the disappearance and didn't do anything about it, or the parents didn't know. And it was probably one of the best speeches I'd ever written. Like I knew it was a really good speech and I knew it back to front. And I couldn't present that in front of the class. And because my anxiety was so bad, I didn't. So I actually only presented it in front of the teachers, and that you could only have that happen if you like were really, 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 really bad. And I kind of felt a bit stupid for doing it that way because it was like, oh, but everybody else has to, and there's only a few of us that aren't, and it makes me feel like I'm not capable of doing it. And I do think it was the right thing for me to do at the time because I just wasn't prepared. But unfortunately, what makes it even more frustrating is even though I literally only had 3 people watching me who I knew I was comfortable with, I still messed up the speech and I was holding on to my flashcards and using my flashcards, and I ended up only getting a merit just because I was reading off of them even though I knew the speech off by heart, and I could have very easily just looked at a wall or looked anywhere else, but I was clutching to what I had just to make it look like I was less anxious and to make myself feel less anxious, which is so frustrating because like I said, I'd literally memorized the speech, I'd spoken to it to myself in the mirror or to people at home and had memorized the whole thing. I didn't even need those flashcards, and I knew that, and I was like, oh my god, I still got a merit and I didn't even do this in front of anyone. Like that's just so pathetic. And then another poor experience I'd had is I had to help someone, one of my friends, who had asked if I could um do this like speaking event thing in front of the whole year group, so like everybody in my entire year. And I couldn't say no because I was a bit of a people pleaser, and even though my entire body was screaming at me to just say no because I couldn't do it, like I just knew I wasn't going to be able to do it, I said yes and couldn't go back on it because I didn't want to. I felt bad, she didn't have anyone else to ask. And I remember I had the piece of paper, I was shaking so bad that literally afterwards, every single one of my friends said, Fleur, oh my God, you were shaking. Like the entire paper was literally going like that. Like everybody in the room would have been able to see. So it wasn't even a matter of like I was nervous. Everybody in the room knew I was a wreck, which
Oh
is
my
so
god.
embarrassing. But you know, I'm kind of proud of myself for doing that, even though I really didn't want to. And it just goes to show how much I care for my friends because despite that being like a survival thing for my body to be like, no, you cannot do this, I did it anyways. And I do think that that was important for me to go through all of these poor experiences because it allowed me to realize that one day I would be a completely different person. And the same thing was done with my poetry as well, in the sense that I wasn't able to share my work with anybody. And then it went from not being able to share my work to anybody to then going to university. And on the bat, you have no choice but to have the most vulnerable like words that you've ever written in your entire life just be ripped apart by about 30 people who don't know you, and to be okay with that, you know, literally thrown into the deep end of not sharing my work to anyone and to only sharing it with like maybe 2 or 3 people in my life, to then suddenly complete strangers giving me feedback on like things that I've written that are things that I've never even told anybody, you know. And that was terrifying for me, and actually we were all in the same boat, so we were all scared. And then I went from that to then doing events where I was going to open mics and putting myself on a stage with a microphone and allowing these really vulnerable words to then be heard by people again that I didn't know loudly, not even quietly, because like when you're in a room with people and they're looking at it on the screen or they're looking at it on their laptop, it's all right because you're not reading it out loud. Like we had the choice to do so, but I never actually took that. It was always like, oh, I'll let the professor read it. But when you're on a stage and you have a mic and you're reading these poems that are literally like fragments of your soul and fragments of experiences and maybe even trauma that you've had in your life, it's terrifying because it's like not even you're worrying about the fact that you're up there speaking. You're speaking about something that like you haven't even told a friend, like you've not even told a family member, like you're just randomly sharing these like
Mhm.
really like traumatic experiences in your life and hoping that everybody in the room is going to hold you. And I think when I could master that, because it took me a very long time to be okay with that and to get to a point where I feel like now, despite it being maybe more than a year since I've done one of those events because they were uni related and I finished uni, if I was to go to something like that, which is really hard to find actually, I think I would be a little bit more comfortable, even though I do think I would have to throw myself back into the deep end because it's been so long. Because I've had those experiences and because I've like forced myself each time to just, you know what, go up on the stage. Because also bear in mind, most of the time it wasn't planned. I had to then say, oh, I'm up next. I literally had to put my hand up to go up on stage. So that's even more terrifying because you can very easily back out. I would always go with a friend who would make sure that I would get myself up on that stage. And if I could put my name in for one of these events, I would do it. And even though I would be so terrified, I'd literally be counting down to when my name would be called out, I would just try to reframe it and think, okay, maybe I am anxious, or maybe I'm actually excited. Maybe I'm excited. And I did see this video recently of like someone like reframing anxiety being like, when you're anxious, it's really just your body is being excited for you and for this new opportunity. And I thought that was a really cute way of looking at it, because that like butterflies feeling that you feel when you're nervous is the exact way that you feel when you're excited for something. And like the way that you feel the night before a trip when you're young and you know you're going to go, I don't know, to Disneyland or something like that, like you feel excited, it's the same feeling. And so you sort of have to like reframe your brain and say, no, I'm not anxious, no, I'm not scared. Of course, maybe you are those things, but I'm also excited. I'm also looking forward to that new version of myself I'm going to unlock from doing that experience that would have once terrified me. And so, where I was once a really insecure girl who literally, it would come to like, I remember when it would come to walking into the assembly, and I would know that I would have to like walk to my seat in front of everybody that was already in the room.
Oh my god, that's fucking
I
most horrible thing
Yeah,
ever.
I know. I used to have my head down and literally covering my face
Mhm.
because I hated my side profile so much that I didn't want everyone in the room to see it. I for about 5 years did not put my hair up. It was down every single day because I just hated my side profile. Like even the fact that my hair is up right now, well, I never would have done that when I was younger because I'm like comfortable with my side profile now. Yes, I have moments where I'll see pictures of it and I'll be like, oh, I don't really like this, but I just put it aside and I don't think anything of it. And it just goes to show that even with like insecurities, like you can shape a new version of yourself by quite literally forcing yourself to become comfortable with these things and knowing that you don't need to change everything that you don't like about yourself. It's okay not to like things about yourself, and to then love yourself into it, love yourself into loving those parts of yourself, but knowing that at the end of the day, you don't actually need to always love every single part of yourself. I think that that would be the asking too much of ourselves. You are allowed to have things that you're insecure about and to always be insecure about those things, but it's how you go about living your life. It's
Mm.
knowing that you can't hold yourself back from doing things because you're insecure about the way that you speak, or the fact that your hands shake when you go up, or the fact that your face always gets red, or the fact that you always stutter. You never know how to like properly say the things that you want to say because you're worried about how it's going to come across. The fact that you can't hold eye contact, which was another problem I had, and I was never able to hold eye contact in any conversation. And even to this day, I still struggle with that, but I'm forcing myself to become more used to it and know that the only reason why I was so scared of that was because I was scared of the way that people would like look into my soul, because I do believe that your soul is within your eyes. You see the way that someone is through their eyes, and when you allow someone to stare at your eyes for a long period of time, you're allowing them to stare at your soul, and you're allowing them to stare at you. And that was scary to me because I was like, oh, what if people look at my eyes and they see the real me and they don't like that? So I would never allow someone to have enough time to actually do that. It's realizing that all of these things that make up that fear that stop you from doing the thing that you want to do is just a part of who you are, and you don't need to get rid of them. You don't need to run away from them. You don't need
Mhm.
to think, oh, I need to put them into a box in order to step outside of my comfort zone. You just need to welcome them and say, you know what, it's okay to feel these things. These are parts of what makes me me, but you don't need to control my life anymore, and I can take back that control. You can take a back burn and you can be there in the sidelines because you're protecting me, and that's what anxiety does. But I'm taking back my control now, and I'm allowing myself to put myself into places where I will be seen and I will be heard because I deserve to be.
Period. Put that on a mug, or maybe a bit more than a mug. Put that on like
Yes, a bit of a long mug, bit of a big mug.
No, honestly, I literally totally like a lot of that I related to, especially with the whole hair thing. I used to do the exact same thing with like my freckle because I was so insecure about my freckle that I would literally have my hair down and I would have it like I can't even let me
Yeah,
show
like
you.
literally like right in
Like
front of your
right
face.
like this. Like I used to have like this.
I used to do the same thing. I
And
would
like
just hide behind my hair all
yeah,
the time. It's so
it
sad.
is sad, and people would be like, I remember this one girl, who actually, spoiler alert, was actually my like a bully, but she was like, why saying to the kids in the class like, why she got her hair like that for? Like, why is she? Do you know what I mean? Why has she done that for? And I remember feeling so like insecure even more about this, and I used to just stare at myself in the mirror for so long, like wishing it would just leave my face. But you know what it is? It's about reframing the mindset. And after a while, after doing that for a bloody long, too long of a time,
Mm.
I realized that, you know what? This is my face. Like, this is just the way I look. And like, it's literally a freckle. And like, what's so bad about it? And when you realize as well that, like, and I was saying this the other day to Fleur and Jess, and I said like you can like be really insecure about all the small things on yourself, you know, like a freckle or like your teeth or maybe your nose or maybe your eyes or maybe just anything that is a lot smaller. But like you can be insecure about those things when you actually look like at yourself from a more like a wider angle. If you look at yourself from the mirror at a wider angle, you can acknowledge, yeah, like I'm Leng, like I'm good looking, you know what I mean? I'm beautiful. And it's about realizing that even though you are insecure about those things, you are still beautiful. Like it doesn't take away from your beauty. If anything, it adds to it. It makes humans unique, you know, it makes humans with so much variety and diversity. If we all look the same, how bloody boring would that be? You wouldn't find people attractive because everyone would be the same. So that's the whole beauty of life, is that we all look different. And when you fall in love with those things, it becomes a lot easier for you to be more confident within yourself, because when you love yourself, you open up doors for confidence. You know, confidence does come from self-love, and obviously confidence is going to be needed for you to step outside your comfort zone. If you fall in love with, say, the way you look, let's say your appearance, right? You're insecure about your appearance, you start to work on your appearance, you start to work on loving your side profile or loving your freckles or loving your hair or whatever it is about you. You start to love it more and more and more. And you start with a small thing. So it won't necessarily be you start falling in love with your insecurity off of the bat, but it'll be like, you know what? I actually have really nice eyes. And then it'll be like, you know what? I actually love my face shape. And then it'll be like, you know what? And then by the end of it, you're gonna fall in love with your whole face. Like Fleur said, you probably or may well be still insecure with those things, but you have fallen in love with the other stuff so much that it kind of counteracts the
Mm.
insecurities. So now you have got a solid concrete thing of your appearance, right? You feel like, yeah, you know what? Even though I do have days where I feel bad about myself, even though I do have days where I don't feel my best self, even though I do have moments where I pick apart at myself and I don't feel good and I feel really insecure and I feel really this and that, you still have a very solid base. So stepping outside of your comfort zone is going to be so much easier, because you are no longer so concerned with the way you look. You are going to be more concerned with what can I deliver? What message can I get across? What value can I bring to the world? Sometimes the most valuable things that we provide in life are the things that are the most uncomfortable to do. You know, like content creation as an example. For a lot of people, I get people from my own life and people who message me saying, you know, like I really wish I could stop. I just can't do it because of what other people will think about me, or what will people from school say, and etc etc etc. But what they want to create and what they want to put out there is far more valuable than that feeling. What they want to bring to the world is far more valuable than what other people who you went to school with may think about you. It's far more valuable, you know. Your artwork is far more valuable than your scared mindset of actually creating it. And I think that when you realize this and when you harness this is when you just start to step outside of your comfort zone naturally. It's when you start to acknowledge that, you know what, why am I letting this hold me back? Because this is a feeling. You're letting a feeling dictate your life. You're letting a feeling of yourself that is not even true anyway dictate your life, you know, because you have built it up so much in your head. And you know the whole saying, it's like, oh, you're the five people you spend the most time with. You're also the most thoughts you think about. It defines you, you know. If you allow negativity and you allow the way you think about yourself to consume you in such a way, you are never going to be able to go out and into life and achieve the things you want. You're never going to be able to start that YouTube channel. You'll never be able to start that business. You'll never be able to start writing that book. You'll never be able to start doing all the things that you desperately want to do, because you are so scared and you hold yourself back because of a fear of yourself, which doesn't even, it's not even true. Like, it shouldn't even be a valid opinion of yourself. The only valid opinion of yourself should be the ones that are positive or the ones that are constructive criticism. I love this book, but you know what? Let me amend this chapter. I love this piece of work, but let me just amend this. That is constructive. beating yourself up over things that are so meaningless, like, oh, I used the wrong word here, or maybe I, you know what I mean, like the lighting's not good. It's, you're just going to hold yourself back. Again, it just does come from a place of deep self-love, because you're going to need the confidence to be able to step outside your comfort zone. You're going to need the confidence to be like, you know what, let me pick up my camera today in Edinburgh and film. Let me do something like sing in front of my friends, because you need confidence, you know. And yeah, I think when you fall in love with yourself more, you will become more confident, and in turn, you will start to step outside of your comfort zone a lot more.
I love what you said about your thoughts becoming who you are as a person, because I agree with that. And I do think that if you are always holding yourself down, or if you're always telling yourself that you can't do something, then you are going to live the reality that is going to show you that that is true and that you won't be able to do it. And I do think that even when it comes to like connections in our life as well, we do this thing where we think, oh, this person's going to do this or this person's going to do that, and you end up looking for things that prove to you that that is right, and by
Mm-hmm.
doing that ruin the connection for yourself. It's the exact same thing with like living your dream life. Like if you're always looking for the loopholes of why you shouldn't do that said thing, like for example with the podcast, Molly and I have had so many things happen over the past year of us having this podcast where we could have easily have went, okay, that means this podcast is not for us. Whereas, you know, instead of allowing it to bring us down, we said every single time we get back up and we keep pushing, we are allowing ourselves to become one step closer. And we've even like launched a new podcast cover. If you didn't know, this is like the one that you'll be looking at if you're listening on Spotify, or even the profile picture for the YouTube channel. This is the third cover we have had in the past year, which if you think about it, is quite a lot of covers to have in one
Mm-hmm.
year. And that just goes to show that we're always evolving and we're always changing
And
and we're
experimenting.
always experimenting and stepping outside of our comfort zone, because we're allowing ourselves to do that by proceeding to carry on. If we had chosen to stop a few months ago, maybe we would never would have had that second cover, because we never would have gotten to that point. So you think that entire progress of that journey never would have existed. And so even this episode that we're filming right now wouldn't exist, and you never would have heard it, you never would have seen it, because we would have stopped. Now think about what could have be what could be in the future, in the next
Mm-hmm.
6 months, in the next year, in the next 2 years of this podcast, let's say. We would never know that if we decided after this episode to just stop it completely. We would never have a fourth or a fifth or a sixth cover. We would never have the chance to be able to speak to more of you that are listening or watching these episodes. We would never have the chance to grow as people and create the reality. You know, having a podcast is not easy. It's a choice to keep going and keep working on it every single day. And I think by proving to yourself with whatever it might be that you are wanting to achieve, if you can keep going and not let go of that dream of yours, that is progression and that is change. And I always like to think of it that as a species, we are meant to change. You know, we were born to change, we were born to evolve, we were born to progress, we were born to not reach the destination, but to learn on the journey, and to learn as people, and know that sometimes things happen in a way that we don't want them to happen in. But there's always a reason for that. There's always a silver lining. There's always something that is teaching us a lesson about ourselves that's going to make it that the next time we have a new lesson, we know how to get through that lesson a little bit easier. A bit like school, you know. I used to find maths so difficult, but whenever I would have a tutor session, I would learn, okay, this is how I do that said thing. So the next time I would have a lesson, I wouldn't stress out so much about it, because I would know how to do it. It's the same thing about life. You fall down, but the next time you are about to trip or you're about to fall or whatever it might be, you will know not to feel so scared about it, because you know how to get yourself back up again.
And you know how to
So
get yourself back up again times 10.
exactly. So if you're watching this and there is something that you want to do, whether it is starting a YouTube channel or even starting a podcast or writing a book or going into a career field that you haven't even studied to get into, and you're thinking, well, if I go and study for it, I'm going to have to like, you know, completely shift my entire life. And what about all those other years that I spent on doing that thing? Was that all a waste of time? I always say it's not a waste of time if you're working towards your dream life, but it would be if you were working towards a life that you know you're going to hate. That's a waste of time. But if you're putting so much effort into something that is going to be a life you will love, how can that be a waste of time? Wasting your time, which I personally don't think even exists, even if it's a life you don't want to live, even if you're working in a job you don't want to be in, you're learning something from that. So you're never really wasting time. But if we're going to say one of them is wasting time, I personally think it would be putting all that effort into a life you know you don't even want to be a part of, you know you don't even want to have that job, you know you don't even want to be in that relationship, you know you don't even want to have that house, or you know whatever it may be, you know you don't want that thing, and so you're putting all your effort into something that you know one day you're just going to quit or you know run away from. Whereas you could be putting all of that effort and energy into something that maybe other people are judging you for doing, but at least one day you know it's going to work out for you because it has to, because you love it so much and you're so passionate about that said thing. And who cares what other people are thinking? They're not the ones that are going to be living your life. And I promise you that when you one day inevitably succeed, they're going to be the same people that are going to come back to you and say, I always thought you were so inspirational. I always thought you were going to make it one day. No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Period. Woo!
But does it matter?
Period.
No.
That's so true.
So start.
Yes.
If there's ever going to be a time where you're going to start, it's going to be today. It's going to be the minute you click off. The minute you click off this episode,
actually
start.
Don't even click off. Do it now.
Yeah, don't do it right now while we're speaking.
Right now.
Right now.
So I told you that.
How funny is that? We didn't even know that we were going to do that. For context, at the start of this episode, when we were doing the thumbnail, which will probably be the thumbnail of this episode, Molly was doing this and she was like, oh, that's so clickbait. I'm not even going to do that in this episode. And here we are, we're doing it. Start right now.
Start right now. I really felt the passion come out in that.
Thank
I felt
you.
like your soul was like erupting.
Because it's very relatable for me, you know, especially with my YouTube channel or with this podcast. I get a lot of people that
people just don't take it seriously.
No one takes it seriously. Maybe there's probably a few people in my life.
I do.
Well, yes, of course you do. I was just about to say you do, but you're in it with me. Imagine you didn't take it seriously. Imagine in the background, you're probably thinking, this podcast is gonna go downhill.
Yeah, she's gonna fail.
But for every person that does believe in you, they are mattering more than the people that don't, because they see the real you. And usually the people that don't believe in you do see the real you and are just jealous.
About to die.
Yeah, the battery's about to die, so we should probably go. Need to be quiet.
Anyway, that was the end of the podcast. We really really bring it to life now. No.
That was the end of the podcast. This is actually the last episode. Yeah, forget everything that we just said. We're actually ending it right now. Last episode.
We're just kidding. That brings us to the end of the episode. We really hope you guys enjoyed. We will leave the links to the podcast, Spotify or YouTube, obviously depending on where you're listening to this on. We will leave the links to basically everything you'll need, okay, down in the description box below. And we can't wait to see you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.